Hey guys, this is Jay Calder of JAYONBOXING here with predictions for the Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora card. And as always, these are just my takes, of course. Your predictions can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. But before we get started, of course, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It really helps out the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. And a little bit of show info here. It's actually a pretty stacked card, if not the original card they were going to give us, at least stacked to some degree. Headlining the show, we'll have Tszyu, as mentioned, taking on Sebastian Fundora. This will be at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, airing on Amazon Prime pay-per-view. Didn't think I'd ever say that for boxing. This will be in the junior middleweight division with Tszyu's WBO junior middleweight title on the line, as well as a vacant WBC belt on the line. In the featured fight, we'll have Romero defending his WBA junior welterweight title in a clash with Cruz, and we'll also have the WBA middleweight title owned by ERISLANDY LARA being defended against ZERAFA, as well as an interim or fringe title bout between MENDOZA and SERHII BOHACHUK taking place at junior middleweight. So, not quite the fight we expected in the main event. In fact, the whole card changes a bit as a result of what happened. Originally, you had Tszyu, who was going to be taking on Keith Thurman, but it's a non-title fight. Still interesting. You also had Fundora taking on BOHACHUK for vacant gold at 154 pounds. However, to salvage the main event once Thurman pulled out injured, shocker, you have to take Fundora and place him in with Tszyu. Now the main event has two belts on the line, but the name recognition takes a bit of a hit. And you slightly weaken the undercard with placing MENDOZA in with BOHACHUK in an interim title fight. With all due respect to MENDOZA, for a fight fan, it's a decent card. Adding to this, you have a semi-rare appearance for ERISLANDY LARA and a title fight between Bangers and Romero and Cruz. It's really not a bad show. Is it worth $80 necessarily? Probably not, but most fights or fight cards nowadays aren't necessarily worth $80 because $80 is insane. Either way, solid show nonetheless. So, enough rambling, let's break these fights down. Starting with the main event here, and we'll go with the champion in Tszyu. You know, when someone has reach like Fundora, who, basically cosplays as Slender Man, and it's about 80 inches of reach at 154 pounds, you naturally need to get inside. You're not winning from the outside most of those times. How do you get inside is the question. Obviously, you want to have some head movement and use your own double jab as a kind of blinder. That's the obvious stuff to get inside, especially if you can use that jab from angles where he's less likely to expect you and thus counter you. You want to maybe throw it as an up jab or even step to the side and maybe tangle those long legs of his up a bit as you're moving. Another way of getting inside is with timing. You're good at timing foes' shots, and you can time his jab once you get a read on it, and that makes it a lot easier to jab your way in as well. Once inside, you need to get to work. That means attacking the lanky body. It's there for you, and keep pressing him back. He doesn't fight well on the back foot, so he needs to be in reverse. Also on the inside, you can land that sneaky uppercut you like to throw, and just take a half step back as he's looking to come in with his own work, and you can catch him with that shot. Another shot to get going is the left hook. This can work a few ways. For starters, you use that shot to time your foe's attacks anyway, but Fundora can also be open to the blow. That might force him back and open up a lot more of the previous work that you're looking to land. And then when inside, you can start ripping that left to the body. Again, the torso is there and the left hand goes well to it. He keeps his guard pretty high, but this can lower those gloves and leave him vulnerable to the left up top, as well as some overhand blows that you can tag taller fighters with as well. Putting this all together will be key, of course. You need to get inside, force your pace and power onto him, take away his advantages, and land that left hook and uppercut on the inside once you get there, and I think you'll have success in this one. And switching over to the challenger here, Fundora, when he doesn't get carried away and just coming forward, is a problem for anyone at 154 pounds. Just his dimensions alone present a challenge for most fighters they're gonna have to try and overcome. When he's pressed back or leaning in the ropes is when he's less effective. You lose your reach and height advantage when you're in those positions. You just don't have the same length to you. So instead, take the center ring and keep it. Tszyu doesn't like backing up either. Neither of you guys really does, so you have to force that out of him. And you have the reach to throw and get to him first and keep him on the outside. The best weapon to start that off with is the jab, of course. It's a long jab, and that's the understatement of the year. So stick that out there and quick. Press him back, double it up if you need to, but just make it busy. The busier that jab is for you, as long as you're throwing it responsibly, the better. You fight well on the inside, so if he gets there, you can land those flurries and then kind of hold your own, but you want to be controlling the action and pace, so don't let him linger in there. Tszyu can bang, and you have been dropped and stopped before, so you want to limit those chances by pressing Tszyu backwards and keeping him at the end of your shots where he might not be able to land as clean. When on the inside, land your work and then get to pressing him back. Again, do not linger there. Make Tszyu work for getting inside and make him pay by landing big blows when he's trying to, especially those straight shots where, again, your length is going to be further implemented. Simple stuff, 1-2s. It doesn't have to be complicated, especially early when you're getting going. But you can also be sure, of course, as the fight progresses, to throw that left hook. You don't want to exchange with him, but if you can get in that range where he can't hit you, all the better. Tszyu does tend to lean a bit to his right, and that shot might be there when he's trying to come in if you can time that left hook well. Now, in terms of my pick here, Fundora, like Thurman, I believe is a live dog, and those dimensions always keep things interesting. But Timmy Boy gets the nod for me in this one. Tszyu can be a slow starter, so Fundora might get it in for a few of those early rounds, but I think the Aussie gets rolling and starts pushing the more frail Fundora back as the fight wears on. Tszyu's well-timed shots and faster than expected hands continue to catch Fundora, especially the left hook, and he applies more pressure. Eventually, when Fundora presses back, Tszyu lands the big shots downstairs, as well as the uppercut up top, and hurts Fundora. Fundora drops, but beats the count, still wobbly. The follow-up barrage finishes him off in a big way. Winner, Tszyu via mid-fight stoppage. Now, heading into the co-featured fight of the evening here, we'll start with the champion in Romero. Rolly is the bigger man and has power, but Cruz isn't always the easiest guy to hit clean. He keeps his chin tucked, guard high, and stays low as a shorter fighter should. Instead, you should focus on touching him up with speed. Cruz can lunge at times. Use that quick chippy left hook to make him pay for that and keep him hesitant about coming in. You can also keep your jab busy, quick, fast, and pushing him back. Cruz is still going to want to come in, but this at least tries to deter him. As the fight wears on, that left can be thrown with more authority, and you can start lining up the right hand down the middle. That jab will tame Cruz, but also can be inevitably used as a rangefinder. Just keep Cruz at your distance. Then, again, line that right hand up as well. And those straight shots will help in keeping Cruz on the outside. You have a handful of inches in reach over Cruz, so don't just give him free shots at coming in. Make him pay for it. Use those quick straights as mentioned to push him back. That can begin with things as simple as the jab and, of course, just keeping that hand busy. If you focus on speed as mentioned and keeping the distance, it also limits how often you may lunge in yourself because you'll be in a much more relaxed position and still in control of the fight, and you won't have as many chances of being caught with that double impact of Cruz's solid shots as well, so you're in a much better position both offensively as well as defensively. Now, switching over to Cruz, regardless of what Romero shows up, you have a chance at catching him with the left hand, especially as a hook. If he's aggressive, you can catch him with it as he's rushing in. If he sits back and tries to shoulder roll, he leans into that shot with a low guard. He's simply susceptible to the left no matter what. Naturally, Cruz has quality hooks, and the left is one that he needs to ensure he's trying to get going. You don't want to force it or telegraph the shot, but Rolly knows it's coming. Not something you have to necessarily hide. You just have to be quick with it and consistent. Play the numbers game. The more you throw it, the better chance you have of landing with it. Just don't telegraph it. You're slower handed, but if you can feint and then make Rolly kind of bite to those a bit of the time, you can kind of make up some of the timing that you lose in terms of speed and get that shot going. And one way to really set up that for the best chance is getting inside. Of course, you need to cut off the ring, not chase, and make sure to close that distance. You cannot chase. You have to take that step off to the side and close out those egg nets. The pressure has to be relentless, but you can't be sloppy or jumping in wildly. Rolly is the bigger man, and you can't neglect that fact. Your chin has been solid at 135 pounds, but there's no sense testing its durability at 140 pounds when it's not needed. So you want to apply that pressure in a smart way, not being too wide open, and make sure that the left gets home once you get inside. And in terms of my pick here, with a pair of punchers, you never know until you get in the ring, of course. However, with the slightly better defensive responsibility, I'm edging towards the favorite in Cruz. Well, I think we might see either fighter get dropped. I think Cruz will land enough power blows that he takes Romero and simply pounds out a decision late. The left hook will be key, and I think he hurts Rolly with it a few times, maybe dropping him as mentioned, and while I think it might be even enough early on, that left hand and hooks around the guard by Cruz allows him to score more consistently, especially late. As the fight wears on, that'll happen more and more, allowing for Cruz to get into that kind of victory mode late, applying that pressure and just being smart about it. Winner, Cruz via unanimous decision. Now, in terms of the quick picks here, of course, in the first fight here, we'll have ERISLANDY LARA taking on ZERAFA as mentioned. The craziest thing about this fight is it reminded me about just how long ERISLANDY LARA has been around, and he hasn't even earned his 30th win as a pro just yet. That's actually crazy, considering he's talented, turned pro in 2008, almost a 20-year career coming up on it to some degree, and he's 40 years of age. Outside of that, though, I have no real worry about Lara's ability to beat ZERAFA in this one. Lara isn't his best, but I think he has enough left in the tank to be able to box and circle well, land those crisp enough shots, and keep ZERAFA out of the fight more than not in the long stretches. Maybe ZERAFA picks up some late rounds again due to age of Lara maybe fading, but I think the cushion that Lara builds in this fight will be too big, and he takes this one on points. Winner, ERISLANDY Lara via unanimous decision. And of course, opening up the show, we'll be seeing Brian Mendoza taking on BOHACHUK as mentioned. This will be in the junior middleweight division, and this is the wild card of the show for me in a lot of ways, but I think I'm rolling with the upset. I think BOHACHUK can have his moments and will be pressing the pace, but the toughness of Mendoza will be pushing him right back. I think they'll get into a lot of exchanges where I think Mendoza is perhaps a bit more sturdy, and I think that's when he might potentially land a big left hand that hurts BOHACHUK. He might be able to beat the count, might not, but I think either way, Mendoza finishes him off if he's able to get up and finishes off the work with the follow-up barrage. Winner, Brian Mendoza via late fight stoppage. And you can see the betting odds here, of course. Fairly close odds considering there's been a shuffle to the card. And again, you're fighting some decent competition here. You actually have some potential for upsets, what have you. So decent odds overall. Of course, in this particular case, I'm still looking mostly at the over-unders. That's what I tend to like in boxing most of the time. You have a couple of interesting picks here, of course. I think Tszyu at 7.5 is a bit surprising, or even Cruz at 9.5 is pretty interesting too. They're pretty well placed, to be honest. It wouldn't totally surprise me if Tszyu got rid of Fundora a little bit earlier than I'm predicting, maybe in like the 5th, 6th round. So that might be what I'm looking at, especially for those odds. But in any event, that's what I'd be looking at if it were me. So with that said, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 19-6 with 12 exact. But let me know your thoughts, your bets, your picks, all that good stuff down in the comments. And of course, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, check out all the social media here. And be sure to visit JAYONBOXING.com for schedule, results, betting odds, grades, rankings, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time.